Welcome to the reporting facilities for Melanie's Mathematics Content Standards Learning Tools. A log record is maintained for each question that is completed by a student in the learning aid. There is also a record generated for each question for which time expired before completion. These records form the basis for generating reporting about student performance with the learning tools. Implementation of the MCS learning tools is by grade level within school. Hence, the facilities are often shared by several teachers with possibly several classes each. Reporting is initiated from the teacher menu by clicking on the reporting word. At the top of the reporting page is the capability to specify a given student or students to be included with the left side drop-down, and or specify a given class or classes to be included with the right side drop-down. By clicking the Exclude button to the right of either drop-down, the specification is changed to exclude the records selected in the corresponding drop-down. Multiple classes may be included in reports, but we will illustrate the more typical single class case by selecting INS Test on the right side drop-down. The level specification provides for selection of only those questions in a specified major category or only those in a specified minor category in the drop-down. The default is all questions are included. The class list may be generated to list the students in the classes selected above. Voila. You'll notice also that it lists all students that are in InTest, but it also indicates if a specific student or students is included in another class. So George Washington is in two different classes. Several other distinct report formats are available. Upon specifying a date range for the session report, we'll just change this to make it earlier, you can generate a report that indicates the number of questions that were attempted during the period and the percentage of time that the question was answered correctly the first time. Growth report may be specified by adding a second range, and we'll simply make it earlier, January 18th to April 14th, so that it's exclusive of the later range. Execute that, and you see that another student's been added, and it shows the percent mastery for the first period and then the percent mastery for the second period. Now let's take another report, the student history, and do it for a specific period. And we'll take January 1st to February 5th. We execute the report, and this is a report that has a lot of different information about the questions over that were completed during that range, that date range. And one of the things you can do is for the highlighted headings, such as total guesses, times elapsed, date, run, and class, you can sort on those by clicking on the heading. And as you can see, it takes and shows from the lowest time elapsed for a given question up until the highest time elapsed. And this is a toggle so that if you click it again, it'll do the reverse and show you from the highest to the lowest. Notice also that the report scrolls while the headings remain above. Student Best Scores report contains all the information about each question included in the top scoring group by class. This sample shows the best scores for geometry questions. If we want to, that has everything in it. But if we want to focus just on geometry, which is probably a common thing you want to do, to focus on a specific type of questions, we click on the all under geometry. We execute it again, and you'll notice it's a much smaller report that only deals with geometry type questions. If we want to even focus further, we can pick just the angles questions, re-execute it, and once again we're dealing with a very small report. Now, printing. Let's go back to all the questions, execute it again, and for printing we can initiate the print from here, and it brings up the operating system's print control screen, and you can generate your print. You're probably quite familiar with doing prints that way, or you can click on the file tab on the menu of the browser and get a print preview, which shows us that there's 15 pages, and you can flip on through there and decide perhaps you might only want certain pages. Now, we want to take a look at the last function of export here, and for that we're going to use that session report again. And what happens here when you click export is it generates a tab delimited file in the contents of this report that's illustrated here. So if we click that, it asks you for a name. We'll call it video 2, and we click on the export button, and it will then tell us that it's been exported. This is an example of the spreadsheet that was generated from the tab delimited file that was exported. It should be noted that the use of the export function is dependent upon the infrastructure of your installation. Please consult with your local IT support for instructions. A log record is also maintained for each question that is generated by the teacher in the teaching aid. And for this particular period, these are samples of the questions that were generated. And these records form the basis for generating sample questions or tests as described in the teaching aid video.